Hi folks, welcome to Optimize IT. Big thanks for having me. My name is Chris Huntingford. I'm a senior technical architect at Microsoft, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Power Platform. Now, if you want to get hold of me, this is the best place. But out there, you'll see the colors immediately. Also the crazy Hawaiian t-shirts. For that, I'm not sorry. Normally I'd be rocking one, but today I decided not to. Do a little bit of more formal approach, as they say. So let's get down to business, right? Let's talk Power Platform. Now, think about the demand for mobile applications. It's literally grown 5 times faster than IT can possibly deliver. 5 times faster. Think about the number of apps needed by organizations. That's bonkers. The second thing is that in the next 5 years, 500 million new mobile apps will be developed. 500 million, I mean, if I do the math, I just can't even quantify that. Now imagine all of us on this call just sitting down and building apps for the next 5 years. We would never hit that number. That's how big the demand is. And then they're also saying by 2024, 65% of solutions will be developed in low code, no code. And you're saying, hey, Chris, aren't 15.6% of stats made up on the spot? Not this one, my friends. This is all backed by Gartner and Forrester and other reputable sources. So as you can see, the opportunity for the platform is massive. If you take a look at organizations, the transformation motivation is huge, right? So decision makers are really needing to make decisions based on requirements within their organizations. We need to go faster. We need to build quicker. We need to have quicker solutions to more important problems. That's massive, right? Just think about the types of organizations you are or you work with. Think about the types of problems you have. You need solutions fast. Here's something else interesting is that did you know you already have the data? Most organizations I talk to actually say, well, we have a CRM, or we have an ERP, or we have loads of legacy stuff all over the place, and it's legacy solution Armageddon. We have all this awesome data. What do we do with it? We've done loads of keynotes talking to people about get data. But here's the thing. We often don't tell you what to do with it, and that's the awesome part about the Power Platform. We are going to tell you what to do with this data. We can augment what you already have or replace if need be. So now here's some interesting points around digital transformation challenges. Myself, I'm actually an ex-IT nerd, so I used to work in IT, believe it or not. I used to be the guy saying, no, we're not getting that solution, or yes, install that network point there. It's kind of strange, right? And I remember my users coming up to me and saying, hey, Chris, can we please have this system? I would be like, no, you can't have that system. We just don't have budget. We don't have time. We couldn't build it for you either. We just don't have the capacity internally. So they would go to the internet and download weird stuff like, some strange CRM system. And when they did that, the data wouldn't be trusted. And you say, well, why? And it's because that's what you call shadow IT, folks. I didn't know it existed. And when they pulled the report for their manager, the manager said, well, where did you get that? And they said, oh, it came from system X that we downloaded off the dark web with our friends. And of course it's not going to be trusted. Why would it? It's not gone through a quality process yet. So that, my friends, is shadow IT. Now, on the Power Platform, we understand that business expectations are always changing. We want to be able to help you to track and measure those expectations. You know what? A friend of mine once said, better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know. So why not give people the ability to build stuff, use those digital interlocking bricks to create awesome solutions? And then if they become business critical, you can move them through the process into something business critical. Now that sounds pretty amazing to me. I also remember many moons ago walking to a housing association when I first got to the UK. The accent's South African, by the way, and I'm not sorry about the rugby. And I remember walking into this contact center and they were sticking post-it notes all over each other's screens. And I was like, why are you doing that? And they said, well, it's the easiest way we could let people know that things were going on. I'm like, you are aware you have tasks in Outlook, right? And they said, oh yeah, but we don't use them. Oh, I was like, okay, well that doesn't make any sense. Can we help? Now this is pre-Power Platform days, so that ended up in a Dynamics 365 implementation. If I look at what we could do to help them now using the Power Platform, it's massive. Now one of the great things about organizations today is if you've probably got Office 365 installed already, guess what? You've already got the Power Platform. Congratulations. And in fact, there's a good chance that people are using it already, which is very, very exciting. So because you've already got the tools, you can use your existing technology to augment and even solve current business issues that you've got, which is really fantastic. So when you take a look at solving those problems, I remember walking to organizations in the past, and it's kind of like, oh, we've got a problem, let's buy a SaaS solution to solve the problem. Software as a service. So what do? You go into the digital version of Tesco's and you go and pick your SaaS solution off the shelf and you pop it into your digital bag and off you go, and you pay at the till and you get to the office and you install your SaaS solution, and then it solves one problem. One problem. And then Jeff from accounts says, hey, we've got problem B. And you're like, oh, let me go back and get another SaaS solution. You end up loading your bag full of SaaS solutions, which is fine if you can manage them. But what about that time when you can't? What about that time where, you know what, you've got to custom build something? That's cool. Custom development is awesome. I always call custom developers the creators of the digital bricks that we use to generate systems. I highly respect custom developers. But here's the thing, folks. If Mary, the custom developer, creates a really wicked solution for you, and then all of a sudden, you know what? Very much like Captain Marvel, Mary gets called to go fight crime on another planet. Cool, but now you're left to maintain that solution, which is technical debt. Okay? It's not a bad thing if you've got somebody to maintain it, but if you don't, it's problematic. And that's where I say the Power Platform fills all those other gaps. You can put the Power Platform in pretty much anywhere. Replace that Excel Armageddon. I mean, we all know what happened to the NHS, right? Start talking about fixing that shadow IT. Fix those manual business processes. That's the most exciting part. Make people's lives easier. Now, at Microsoft, we have a saying. Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to do more. Now, a lot of you may say, well, we've heard this 1,000 times, Chris. Satya Nadella has said it, and James Phillips said it, and Jeff in accounts has said it, and Mary in finance has said it. But here's the thing. Think about it logically. What does that actually mean? We want to make people's jobs easier so you have more time to do cool stuff. Well, that's kind of, breaking a little bit, but it's true for me. I've got children at home. The easier my job is, the more time I can spend with them and my wife. I don't have to work 12 hours a day. I can work my 8 hours a day and do my thing. So that's the thing. That to me is achieving more. And achievement is always in the eye of the beholder, right? And that's what we want to help you do with software. Now here's the thing. Look at all these awesome companies that have been leveraging the Power Platform. If you've ever been to Heathrow Airport, congratulations, you've used the Power Platform. If you've ever been to Metro Bank, congratulations once again, you've used the Power Platform. You know what? If you've flown with Virgin Atlantic, not flown Virgin Atlantic, that would be more awesome if you have respect. But if you've flown with Virgin Atlantic, congratulations, you've used the Power Platform. Incredible, right? It is like wildfire. It's everywhere around us. It's kind of like oxygen, as I say. And that's what's happening. The Power Platform is starting to embed itself in pretty much every organization. In fact, if you start to think what the Power Platform is, well, I can break it down to a couple of really core things. The first thing is data. Now, a lot of you will say, Chris, isn't the Power Platform Power Apps? No, my friends. Power Apps is a part of the platform. Data is the most important thing. When you look at what we have with Power Apps and Power BI, which we will get onto shortly, they are a repercussion of data. So our bottom data layer is the most key thing in the platform, which we'll talk about a little later as we drill into each of these elements. The top layer is a consequence of that data. Tools like Power BI, allowing you to analyze, Power Apps, acting on data, Power Automate, automating your processes, and Power Virtual Agent, the ability to augment those conversation type elements you would have, replacing that UI with a conversation layer, which is really, really cool. So the Power Platform is fundamentally based on data. And the rest of those nodes or those modules are a repercussion of that data. So why don't we take a look at what's actually under the hood here? Let's start off with Power BI. Power BI is one of my favorite tools. One of the first tools I ever learned actually in the platform was Power BI. Now, my friends used to call it yellow Excel. I kind of still do actually. But Power BI is a great way to analyze and understand what's going in your organization. Create actionable insights. Real information from data, not just data. And Power BI is the way to transform data and visually understand. Now that is key in any organization. The more data you have, the more propensity for understanding you have. That is really key. The next thing is Power Apps. Now a lot of people assume Power Apps are those pretty little applications that are very pixel perfect. It looks as if Excel and PowerPoint had a love child. Now, in this scenario, that's not the case because Power Apps are parts of that. In fact, Power Apps is made up of 3 areas. You've got model-driven apps, which are applications built on top of the common data service data model. You have Canvas apps, which, like I said, look like PowerPoint and Excel had a love child, but you, my friends, are in control of the user interface. And then you've got Power Apps portals, the ability to expose information outside of your organization to users so that you can gain information from them as well. We've got Power Automates, the ability to generate that automation layer, create things that are going to make people's jobs easier. Things like Power Automate Flow, which is effectively a process flow tool that can connect to various APIs or connectors. Things like robotic process automation. Hey, my solution doesn't have an API. No problem. We can help you get that data. And things like business process flow, a visual representation of a process that you would undertake when building a solution. What we also have is Power Virtual Agents, the conversation layer. It's a separate UI effectively, and what this does is replaces that form that you would normally fill in with a conversation UI that allows users to interact with data in a different format or a different way. Very key is our connectors. Now, many moons ago, we used to say, hey, that person's got Salesforce. We'll never go and install there, or you have to rip your Salesforce solution out. I say, nay, my friends. What I say is let's build next to it. Let's augment what's in that solution. Great, you've got Salesforce, wonderful. We want to work with you. We want to build around what you've got. Hey, if you want to replace elements of your solution, no problem, we can help you with that. But the connectors are one of the most key parts of our platform. The connectors help us manage the way we interact with data. Thirdly, we've got AI Builder. I love AI Builder. AI Builder is one of those pieces of functionality that everyone kind of thinks, whoa, it's AI. Freak out, freak out. And I'm like, no. AI is a bit different to that. I've always equated AI to a horror movie. Most people are like, oh man, where is he going to go with this? Let me tell you. So AI Builder effectively for me is like watching Paranormal Activity. That scene where they walk into the room and somebody slowly opens the door and then it goes quah behind them. And everyone goes, what? And they freak out and they're like, why did the door close? Ladies and gentlemen, doors open and close. It's what they do. You're just afraid because you don't know what opened and closed that door. It's the same with artificial intelligence. Most organizations are fearful of it. They think that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to bust through the sky in some time warp and start killing Terminators. Skynet's not taking over yet, my friends. I don't think it ever will. But it's important for you to understand that AI is now democratized in our platform. It's come out in a more palatable layer that you can start to use and interact with on a daily basis. So if you're using artificial intelligence in your apps, you're actually generating more data, creating people's jobs easier, right? And that's really important for us. The democratization of AI in our platform is key. We also have this amazing functionality called the Common Data Service, a cloud-based relational data storage facility. I did not say data structure, I did not say data store. The reason for that is because it is so much more. You have the ability to build relational data models on the fly within this relational facility, manage things like referential integrity and normalization. Whoa, sorry, I went on nerd mode there, I think I blacked out. But it's important for you to know that you can do this without writing code. I'm an ex-SQL geek. I love SQL. SQL is one of the pieces of the Common Data Service under the hood. You've got this amazing security structure. Hey, if you need to have auditable records that you can take to the courts of law, like in antisocial behavior cases one day, no problem, we got you back. If you want to do role-based security, no problem, we can do the same thing. But the Common Data Service security structure is massive. We can even obfuscate data at the field level. So if you want to hide those cheeky account numbers, you can totally do that. Finally, when we start thinking about what's under the hood in the entire Power Platform, we have this really important piece called the Center of Excellence. This is a consolidation of technical functionality that's been built up in tools like Power BI and Power Apps and Power Automate to allow your organization to effectively manage that functionality. Now here's the thing. You're thinking, isn't putting Power Platform in my business creating more shadow IT? Well, no. Like I said, better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know. You're giving people the digital bricks to build the solutions they want. But on the same plate, you're setting up those digital guide rails in IT to help you manage those solutions. You have this unified admin center to control things like capacity and the types of flows being used. You've got governance tools to help you understand the types of apps being created and what connectors are being used. Not forgetting that we have a fully supported security model within the Power Platform. So the Center of Excellence is a key focus for us and will continue to grow over time. But it is important that you know, leveraging our partner base, you can actually build in those business rules, leveraging the technology to make sure your solutions are taken through the right process. Which brings me on to my next point. A lot of the time when we talk to organizations, they feel that, you know what, we'll just let everyone build apps and we'll lock down security. That's cool. I'd like to tell you that when building out solutions, it's important to know that simple business use cases and personal productivity solutions are exactly what they say on the tin. You cannot force a mission-critical solution into the same technology stack as you would for simple business use cases. As an example, the common data service is built for complex processes and data structures. It's built to manage that heavy lifting. But tools like SharePoint lists and Project Oakdale are great for simple business processes. So now, you wouldn't necessarily use the common data service for that functionality. That's like buying a Ferrari and driving 20 meters down the road. The cost is not going to make sense. However, leveraging tools like SharePoint lists for these mission-critical use cases could also prove detrimental. So knowing where to build things is really key. And we do provide guidance from that perspective, but also our partner base are absolutely fantastic at helping with this. But the main thing is that if you start generating solutions at the bottom layer of the tier and they grow up, you need to know how to take them through that process of either re-architecture or application lifecycle management, ALM. And you will find that in your organization, the more apps and solutions that are built, the more relevant this will become and the more business processes you'll need to develop to help manage these solutions through this production cycle. So with that being said, I think we should take a look at a use case. Now, I went a bit crazy, right? I know that we sent you guys out a form and some people filled it in, some people didn't. You're more than welcome to do it now. So if you'd like to, either scan the QR code on the screen or use aka.ms/wellbeingpp demo, Wellbeing Power Platform demo. Now, why did we decide on this? Well, we actually know that when we take a look at the solution, right, employee well-being is actually quite important. And actually employee well-being could fall within the simple business use cases, but also could potentially be an organization-wide initiative. So we decided to build it in a certain way. Now, the whole idea is that we are all being forced to work from home at the moment. And it's not just us, there's loads of other people that are going through this process. So we decided to build out a solution that would help us manage the process of working from home, getting feedback from all of our employees, and then actually managing that feedback and making sure we can help folks to, either feel a bit better or find ways to work better. Now, that was the key goal. And one of the first things we needed to do was get data. So we decided on a very simple architecture. And the way it looks is a little like this. We first decided to use Microsoft Customer Voice as our forms mechanism. So whatever you filled in was a Microsoft Customer Voice form. That functionality leveraged Power Automate to track the information directly through into what we call the Common Data Service. Once again, our relational data storage facility. The reason we decided on the Common Data Service was we needed to apply security to this information. We needed to make sure that this information was locked down and not everyone had access to sensitive data. What we also did was underpin that with Power BI. We had a management reporting layer actually looking at the Power BI reports to make sure people were okay and to spot trends. What we also did was started leveraging AI to track sentiment. And then we had two applications. We had a Canvas app for somebody that could potentially leverage the information quick and easily on their mobile device. And if somebody needed to have a socially distanced visit, they could do that using their Canvas app. But the model-driven app was merely there just to track all of the records and make sure that any process that needed to be undertaken could. Finally, what was really key was we embedded this entire thing in Microsoft Teams. Obviously, Teams being the modern desktop, well, that's where we want all our information, so we stuck it right in there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out to a demo and actually show you how this all works. So stick with me and let's have a little bit of fun. Thank you very much for filling in your information. Okay, folks, so I've migrated to the man cave, the place where I do all the demos. And as you can see, a bit of a change of environment, but let's jump right into the demonstration. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about where things are within the Power Platform. So the first thing I'd like to show you is what we call the common data service. So the place where I'm putting my information. Now, as you can see, what I've done is logged into a thing called the Maker Experience. This is effectively make.powerapps.com, and this is where you come to build things and create things. So this is kind of your virtual Lego box, all right? Now, if you take a look, I've got loads of entities. These are effectively tables or collections of things that hold data. Now, some people put data in SharePoint lists, some people put data in Microsoft lists, some people use SQL. I'm using the common data service in this scenario because it's much easier for me to build out data models. So if you take a look, I've got things like my contact entity, and this is a place where I put all my contact information. Contacts might typically be people that you engage with that are outside of your org. If I take a look here, I've created a custom entity called Work From Home Wellbeing. So if you captured using that forms link, all that information would have landed up in here. And as you can see, entities have got various properties. So the way I like to describe it is these properties or attributes describe the record. So let me give you an example. Work From Home Wellbeing record that gets captured will have an email address. There will be a field asking how you are doing, right? And also all this information is made available to me. I can quite easily capture any other fields if I'd like. So if I'd like to have a wellness score on my record, I could pretty easily do that. Apparently I can't spell the word wellness. And I can also dictate the field types, right? Now I could say that this could be a, I don't know, let's pick a whole number. And you can even dictate the way the number is stored. So I can say from 0 to 10 if I want to. So there we go. So all I've done is added in that very basic field, and that field is now made available to me throughout all the Power Platform areas. So I'll be able to use that field in Flows, in Canvas apps, in Power BI, pretty much anything else I do, right? So that basically means that I've added to the schema, the place where the data is stored. Now this is pretty important because if you get this right and you do this properly, the rest of your solution will be much easier to build. And that's really important. So that's the common data service sorted. So that's where I'm putting my data. If I'd like to get a snapshot view of the information I've stored, I can see that right over here. There we go, fantastic. So this is all the information that's been captured. What I can also do is I can even pre-create views and forms, which can also be used in the various app types. So at the moment, views can be used both in model-driven apps and in Canvas apps, whereas forms can only really be used in model-driven apps. I've also got a thing called relationships, so I can link these records up to other records. And this is effectively what we call referential integrity between records, making sure that I could link records up. Now, that would be much more relevant in larger systems, so I could create these highly relational data storage structures, but at the moment I'm just going to stick to using my wellness being records. So all I've done right there is I've just shown you the common data service. Now what you did for me was that you filled in the Microsoft customer voice survey, okay? Some of you filled it in, some of you didn't, so I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So if I go into Microsoft Teams over here, this is the type of form that you would see. Now it's pretty awesome because I'm just going to click out and refresh this. It's pretty awesome because all this means is that this form is publicly available. So you can go ahead and enter your information. I'm going to pick a random email address. Don't want to send any strange emails to myself. I do that all the time. How are you feeling? Yep, I'm feeling all right. You can also change the way that the surveys run. So I'm also going to say, sure, feeling cool. Is anything to, not really. So yeah, not really anything people can do. I'm going to say, yep, I'm likely to recommend this. Now, I've just filled in that piece of information and that'll land up back in the common data service, right? The way it gets there is I'm actually using Power Automate Flow. Now, yes, customer voice is directly integrated within the common data service, but the reason I'm using Power Automate Flow is so that I can scrape that record as a flat record, not a relational record, okay? So if I go into Flows, and I click there, you'll actually be able to see the record being stored using Flow. If I go here and I say Create Wellbeing Record, and I simply click that, all these flow runs have taken place. So whenever you guys captured records, all that information was stored here. So you can see that one was done 30 seconds ago, and you can actually drill into the record and try and understand the type of information being stored. Now I'm going to break this down for you really quickly. All I've done is I've said, look for when a customer voice form is submitted, get the response information, use AI Builder to apply sentiments to that record. So it actually checks something that I've typed in. it creates a new record in the common data service. Okay, that was that thing I showed you earlier. It actually sends an email, and then what it also does is if there's a certain drop in the way the record's built, so if somebody puts less than 6 stars, it actually creates a Teams message for me as well. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, great. I've got my flow. All I've done is effectively I've showed you the customer voice form using Power Automate Flow to put information into the common data service. And believe it or not, you can build this entire solution in roughly an hour. Okay, now that's great. What I've also done is I've used AI Builder to supercharge that record with some information around sentiments. So let's go into Microsoft Teams. Now, Microsoft Teams is effectively my holder for information. Now, let's think about it. As a mid-office user, what I want to do is I want to know all the analytics around the type of records that are being generated. And I can leverage Power BI for that. So all I've done is I've opened up Power BI. This is a dashboard that I've got stored directly with the Power BI service within Office. And you can see that it's giving me my wellness information. Now, I'd like to tell you, I'm not super good at designing dashboards. It's not because I have no talent, I just have no taste. So everything just gets color everywhere. So I can tell you, first of all, my average how you feeling score is 5.35 across my whole business. Okay. I've also got a net promoter score of 5.72. So this is how likely people are to recommend you. And my how am I feeling sentiment score is 0.59. So that's pretty important as well. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and figure out how to use this information across my organization to understand various pieces of data to create actionable insights. If you take a look here, the average how you feelings, let's click on that, right? Most people seem to have selected 4, but their average sentiment analysis has actually grown. So that means that as an organization, we're helping. But there's a couple of keywords here. Need work-life balance. This is a pattern that's sort of starting to emerge from my word cloud. So that's what we can do to help. So maybe in my organization, with people that have got this type of a score, I can start applying a more of a work-life balance focus. Let's see, anything we can do to help over here? Well, let's have a look. Wow, need a bit more excitement. Need some more extracurricular activities. Okay, so what we can also do here is potentially apply some extracurricular activities to the staff to help them out. If you go to the next, let's pick number 1, right? Let's see what's really going on. Let's pick the negatives of how you're feeling. Oh, wow, okay. So there's some people having they're really feeling down. What can we do to help? They really need to talk to people. Okay, understood. All right, so we're starting to understand a bit more around the data. Let's get a bit more detail. So we can go into our active work from home well-being records. And actually what this is this is what you call a mid-office application using Power Platform. And this will help us understand a bit more around what's going on. So this is a list of my records, right? Discovered nutritional yeast and got steaks in order. Respect. Cool. So somebody's really happy. What can we do to help? I don't know. Wow. Okay, right. So not too bad. Not 2 stars off because my son is upset that we went to change the color of the front door. Yeah, I've got kids. It's absolutely crazy, right? So that's happened to me as well. Let's have a look. Oh, there's some crazy things going on here. So I can really start to understand the actual core records themselves. If I'd like to, I can even drill in to the records. So let's see, my kids are driving me mental. I need to find a separate space to work. Okay, let's pop that record open there. And this is a model-driven app. This is designed specifically for the mid-office to manage and undertake process against solutions. Fantastic. So my record's loaded. And as you can see, I've already got a defined business process at the top. So what I'm showing you is this over here within Power Apps. Data stored in the common data service and surfaced through a model-driven application. You can see that I can run through the process to make sure this person's okay. I can even map it to an existing contact. You've got your how you feeling score of 1. And likely to recommend 1 as well. So this is not a great record. This is not really good. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I can progress this through to completion, but also contact the person and make sure that they're okay. You can also do that in model-driven applications using the activity functionality natively embedded. So if I want, I can send an email to email address over here. If I'd also like to, I can use other mechanisms to chat. Things like, telephone or carrier pigeon if you even wanted to. But that's pretty key, right? So natively embedded in model-driven apps, you have that functionality. What you can also do is you can start embedding Power BI directly within model-driven apps as well. So this is a model-driven application, and all I've done is I've embedded my Power BI report directly within it to make sure that I understand what's going on. Great. So this is effectively what I call digital inception. It's a Power BI report embedded in a model-driven app, embedded in Teams. What gets really crazy is when you embed a Canvas app in a Power BI report in a model-driven app in Teams. So you can see everything sort of works together really greatly, right? Now, what I want to do is I've got an issue. In my organization, whenever I have a case like that I just showed you, and I need to send somebody to go out and have a chat to that person, obviously social distance, I need what you call a Canvas app or a mobile application. And I can create those really easy within the Power Platform. So what I've done is I've got all of this functionality already built out. Okay, I'm going to build out the Canvas app to show you that you can quite easily generate these. But the only reason I can do this really well is because I've set up my digital guide rails in the background. And typically in the Microsoft platform, getting those digital guide rails set up are what we use our partner base for within our customers. So what I'm going to do is going to go back into the Maker experience, and I'm going to select apps. And I'm going to say new app, right? I'm going to select a Canvas app. Now, the Canvas app effectively just lives on top of data, and it leverages the data structure to make sure that the app is built correctly. But I'm going to take you a bet. I think I can build an app in under a minute. So first things we'll do is select the Common Data Service, and we'll go and search for the entity that exists in the Common Data Service. So it's Work From Home Wellness. We'll pick that entity, the place where the data is stored. And normally this is where I kick back, get a tequila, whatever time of the morning it is for you. Things are perfectly acceptable during COVID. But yeah, this app builder will actually leverage the information in the entity using artificial intelligence and create the app framework for me. So as you can see over here, I've got a functioning app in under a minute. If I really wanted to, I could go and check out the edit screen and quite easily run this application, either save a record or directly create a new one. Pop into the new record. Is there anything we can do to help? Nope. Recommendation likelihood, we're going to put in a 6. Please share a bit more. Cool. I'm just putting in random data. How are you feeling? 7. Sentiments. That'll get added automatically. Save the record. And actually, when we go back into our mid-office application and take a look at the work from home records, if I were to search created on and newest to oldest, that record will exist straight away. It will also have the business process logic applied to it. Fantastic. So as you can see, it's very easy for me to generate those records very, very quickly. I'd like to show you something else. In the business process, if I'm not feeling so great, you can see there are 3 steps here. If I drop this down to 0, the business process changes and an extra step is added, just to make sure I can work with and understand that person. So let's go back to our demonstration, right? With my Canvas app, I'm not super happy with the way it looks. So what we're going to do is we're going to theme it up a little bit more. We'll make it red. What we're also going to do is add in a couple of new screens. So we'll add in a blank screen there. It's just move it up to the top. You can also theme this in whatever way you'd like. So I can go ahead and grab a background image. Might just pick anything. Let's see what I've got available to me. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, I like that one. That one's great. Nice and colorful. And we'll say we're going to fill that. Awesome. We're also going to go ahead and add a button. And this button is going to drag us off to our browse screen. So we'll just say browse. And we'll make sure the action on that is to navigate directly through to the browse screen. Fantastic. So when I run this app, this will kind of be what it looks like on your mobile device. Hit browse. And I can very easily go and capture information in there like you saw before. So all I've done, folks, is I've shown you that leveraging the data within the Common Data Service, you can apply things like AI Builder, Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Apps directly to it to make sure that information is correctly leveraged. And I also created you an app in under a minute, which I'm pretty pleased with. So a big thanks for having me. I'd also like to say, if you'd like to progress this more, jump into the Microsoft Learning material and really get familiar with the Power Platform. It's a great place to learn and a really great place to engage the rest of the community. So thanks once again, and I hope to be chatting to you very soon. See ya.